All right, pal, you ready to go around the world?
I am, pal. Let's go around the world. Devin, you've got some, I guess you call
Around
it,
the
oh, sorry,
world,
around the
around the
world,
world.
around the world. All right, pal, as I was saying, you've got some, I guess you say news or something to let us know. What's up, pal? What's happening?
Well, as I said at the beginning of part one, I'm now sober. So,
Hey!
hey, yeah, it's been great. So
There
I
you go.
started doing this cleanse. It's a 90-day cleanse of no alcohol, no smoking, that good stuff. And I'm like, what, like maybe like 40 days in, something, 42, 43 days in. And I did it really like to see just how life would change, like how my mental health would change, physical health, and all that.
Mhm.
And I feel it feels great to be on this side of things. I don't remember the last time I was sober. I can't even. Probably like 10 years ago. Probably high
Yeah,
school, maybe high school. I don't know. Um, so it feels different. I feel like I have more energy overall. Like I think that's the number one
yeah,
thing that I take
yep,
away from it. Mentally, I feel sharper. I feel more connected to things. Like emotionally, I
yep.
just feel more connected to life and people and whatnot. Um, and it wasn't like I was like I had crazy problems or anything. Like I
Yeah.
drank a lot, but within reason. Like I could put it down, whenever I needed to, for like a week, days, whatever.
It wasn't like you were waking up on like a random Tuesday morning and when you should be like going about your business, you're like, nah, I got to drink now. Like, it wasn't like that. But you
Yeah,
were like, within reason, if it's a Saturday night and you were going out, you have a few, you know,
yeah,
and then you'd feel a bit worse for wear on the Sunday morning. And then your friends like, oh, let's go out, let's go see each other. And you have some more that sort of stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I would go on
Like,
benders for like a weekend. I
mhm.
would smoke a lot, so I've kind of like, yeah, I've slowed down, and it just feels different. It feels so
Mm.
um my mental health
Present.
really, yeah, I
You
feel
feel like
present.
you're more, yeah. And this is the thing, right? Because I'm on the other side. Well, up the other side. I'm how you. It's everything you explained just there. I've been like that for like years. That's just how I function. And I always find with people because, as you say, you don't feel as present. You feel more like lethargic or not as with it. That sort of stuff. And people usually then use caffeine or like coffees, that sort of stuff, to then spark themselves back to like perhaps feel how you feel now, like more normal, more alert, more like with it. And I find that fascinating because to me, everyone's like, oh, like you have to like take something. You have to. People think who I work with either I take stuff or something's going on because like I'm always just like alert. I'm always with it. It's like a Monday. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Come on, come on. I'm like Randy on the St. Louis. Come on, come on. I literally do that at work. I walk in. I'm like, happy Monday, people. Come on, come on. Like that's how I function. And it feels like, what the hell's wrong? Like how is this? It doesn't compute with people because whether there's alcohol, whether it's they smoke a bit, they are addicted to caffeine, whether they don't exercise, the sleep's not, some combination of all of it. And then with me, I'm just like, hi,
Hey,
like I'm always so like upbeat. So
right.
it's funny. It's funny hearing that from your point of view. Not funny, but it's interesting hearing that from your point of view because it's like, yeah, like this makes sense. This adds up with what I see from the other point of view. Like
Right.
this makes sense.
And here's the other thing too. I don't drink coffee. Like I know,
Yep.
like Spanish guy, people assume I drink coffee. I don't. I don't.
Mm.
I haven't had coffee in like a year. Probably it was like, and I never drank it. Like I was never one of those people that's like, oh, I gotta have my coffee in the morning. That's
Oh,
such a red
oh,
flag. That's such an ick of mine. Like if I'm on
yeah.
the dating scene and I meet a girl and I'm like, and she's like, oh, I can't live without my coffee. I'm like, all right,
I know.
bye, bye.
Yeah.
Don't need that. I don't drink energy drinks. I've never had a Red Bull. I've never had a Monster. I've never even tasted them. I've never tasted Rockstar, any of the. I don't even know what the other brands are.
Mm.
I had a phase where I did drink them when I was like 19. I had this like healthy energy drink that my friend put me onto, maybe for like 3 months. I did dabble into Celsius when Celsius was really starting off. Have you ever had a Celsius? Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar. Haven't had one, but I'm like the same in all this. So
Yeah, it's
carry on.
like Pepsi's energy drink or something. It's not bad. Like I drank it for a little bit, but I just don't like the way they make me feel. So people always ask me too. Like they're like, because I get up for work at 5:30 in the morning, and I'm like ready to go. And they're like, "How do you do it? Like, what do you do?" I'm like, "Well, one, I get a good amount of sleep. That's always a key. Like, I put my phone away. I don't play video games. I don't look at my computer, TV, nothing before bed. if I'm gonna do something, I'll read a book. Like that's pretty much it. Like I'll read a book, or like I'll have a conversation with my girlfriend in bed. Like, you know, talk to people. Like, you know, till I fall asleep. So those are like two big things: sleep and no screens before bed. And I'll have like fruit in the morning or like a protein bar, like something like that. Like a protein bar gives me energy. Like I don't do pre-workout or like capsules
Oh,
or any of that
yeah.
shit, powder. I have like a protein bar, some grapes, strawberries, and like that's it. That's all I need, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, and like you find those people you touch on, it's like a type of person. This is so common as well. I wonder how many like you listening to this, like people listening to this show, are like this. I don't know. This may apply to you, it may not. But the people you wake up and, as you say, need a coffee. Like they need a coffee to function. You know, like it's yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
or like a cigarette or something. Like there's people have these icks. Yeah, coffee. I'm not gonna cut you off. Just coffee,
Mm.
cigarettes. I know one guy that I worked with a while back needed a beer in the morning. Like, go ahead. Yeah.
No, but like, and then it's always an inside job. This is what I find. Not just my every place I've worked for like last few years. It's all the same. It's always like, oh, I've only had my one, or I only had the two coffees this morning. It's like 9:30. I only had the two coffees, and it's like, is that supposed to be funny? Like I literally said that the other day. I was like, is that supposed to be funny? Like, is that a flex? Like, what is that? You know, I haven't had coffee in my life, and like, I'm more bouncy and bubbly than anyone. So I don't understand it. Like, because it's usually, with caffeine, it's, you feel really low, you feel really flat. Boom! I feel fantastic now, pal. I've had my caffeine. Crash. Oh, I feel great again. I've had another. And like, you live life like that almost. Whereas I feel like what I found with being, so like always sober and always alert and all those habits you mentioned is like your baseline, instead of being like down here and needing the jolts of whatever stimulus that you're mentioning to go up and feel alert and feel alive and be with it and then just crash again. For me, like my baseline is now like it gets higher and higher the more you get used to that. So like you're talking about your cleanse at the moment, what you're doing, all that sort of stuff. The longer you go, I mean, your baseline of how you feel generally will just keep getting higher and higher. Like you feel better and better as you go on. Your body's so used to like, yeah, like I don't need that crap to function. Like you mentioned the energy drinks, you don't need that rubbish. So you don't have them, which is good. Like you don't
Yes.
need a coffee every morning. You don't need that trash. Like it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's trash. Exactly. Yeah, but there are some downsides to this. Like,
Mhm.
there are days like today is one of those days where I just have a massive headache.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I slept. Like I slept for like 7 hours. I don't feel like I slept. Like I just feel kind of lazy, lethargic, and that's part of like the withdrawal process.
Mm.
Mostly from the marijuana. You know, the alcohol is different. Like the withdrawal process is different, but for the withdrawal from marijuana is like headaches and all that. Because
Mm.
it's like it's cleaning. It's like literally in my pores. So as I'm like at the gym working out, running on the treadmill, I'm like sweating marijuana into my blood, sweating all this old marijuana that's built up in my pores and in my
Oh
bloodstream,
Lord.
in my cells, pal. So
Yep.
like some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, I feel kind of high today, like you know.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I'm just like I'm
Yeah.
cleaning it all out of my body.
Yeah.
Um, I
As you
don't.
should. Now that's good, pal. I'm proud of you, pal. Proud of you, Kevin. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
That's what we love to see, pal. We're about positive health behaviors, practices. That's what we're all about. Elite Heat, pal, as well as trashing Roman Reigns. But
and Tony Khan.
no, Anton, yeah. Also, one other thing we touched on this a couple of weeks ago. This continues to boggle my mind. The NBA put out, they do these every week or two on their Instagram. Another one of these, like, oh, here's the NBA MVP ladder rankings. Once again, Jokic, it's Shea, it's Giannis, and every comment I went through for a minute. Every comment, does Luka Doncic need to average a 50-point triple double? What more is Luka supposed to do now? You know, and I find it really interesting because when we first discussed this a couple of weeks ago, you were just like, well, Jokic is MVP. What do you mean? Which is like that's the media narrative that's been drummed into your head. Well, of course, Jokic is the MVP. He should have won it last year. No, he shouldn't have. We've been over that. He did. He stopped trying last month of the season. Gave up. Was losing to the Rockets and the Spurs, shooting 4 times a game. He wasn't the MVP. Embiid was scoring 40 a night, winning every game. Jokic gave up with 6 weeks to go. So he didn't win last year's MVP. That was justified. This year, Luka's averaging a 35-point triple-double. And without him, his team is a G League, like Australian team. That his team is Kyrie, who'd average like a bunch of points, and they'd lose by a bunch. They've got no one. What more is he supposed to do? I don't know. His defense isn't good enough. And Jokic is a great defender. When Jokic was the 6th seed 2 years ago, that was empowering. Now Luka does even better, averages like 8 more points than Jokic averages the same amount of assists, same amount of rebounds as Jokic 2 years ago. Now all of a sudden, pal, oh, well, who cares? Voter fatigue's just gone when it comes to Jokic. I'm sick of it. And what I want to go on about here before you go, I think there's something, not to put a conspiracy hat on here, there's a reason behind this. I do not know exactly why. I think because Jokic is so unremarkable that about him, there's something with him where you can plaster him saying, this is the MVP. This is just a guy who plays basketball. He's not remarkably athletic. He can't shoot from 94 feet like Steph Curry. He's not Luka Doncic, who's like the most gifted, skilled player we've seen in so long. He is none of that. Jokic is just a guy who plays basketball. And he just does his thing. And I think the part of this agenda, this clear agenda from the league to make him the NBA MVP every year and anoint him and do that. Ignore that. Forget Jamal Murray exists. Jamal Murray can score 35 against Boston, all the good teams. Jamal Murray's the reason they beat good teams. Don't even mention him. He's never been an all-star, apparently. Oh, Jokic has done all this without an all-star. Like that's the sort of agenda we're seeing in the media. It's sickening. I think a part of this is for global participation for basketball. A little chubby, fat 10-year-old, if they're trying to choose sport, you go, look, Jokic is look at that guy. He's the NBA's MVP. Wow. You play basketball. Like that sport, that can be for anyone. I think it's a conscious agenda from the NBA for inclusion and global participation.
That's a wild take.
I'm genuinely serious.
That's a wild take.
Because, Kevin, why else would Luka Doncic average 35, 10, and 10 on a team that would be in the lottery without him, that would win 10 games? They'd be as bad as the Wizards. He isn't even in the top 3. He's averaging a 35-point triple-double. Am I missing something? Jokic averages 27. He averages 8 more points and the same amount of assists. Jokic stops trying during games, plays no defense, but we need to give him the MVP. Kevin, I don't get it. Is this fair? Am I making sense? Am I speaking another language right now? I feel like I'm in another universe. Everyone's just like, we need to anoint Jokic. Everyone else doesn't matter. Oh, what? 40-point triple-doubles every game. Huh? Luka Doncic, he sucks. Jokic. Thoughts?
All right, well, while you're talking, I went ahead and I looked up the MVP odds.
Yep.
So right now, according to Vegas, and this is on FanDuel, Jokic is a minus 170 favorite. SGA is a plus 250 at second, and then Luka's third at plus 700. So what I think happened, one, the Boston fans, they're so annoying and so obnoxious that Tatum will never ever get MVP recognition. Tatum could literally go Kobe in 2007 and just average 40 points a game and like shoot 60% from the field, and nobody will care. Like, the main media will never care because the Boston fans are so obnoxious, so just everything about them people don't like. And then he never shows up in big games. Like the Celtics played the Nuggets, I want to say, a couple of days ago, and Tatum had like 12 points, got 5 and 19 from the field, whatever it was. Jaylen Brown had 42, Porzingis had like 30. So Tatum's MVP case is dead. Like, you would think in theory he should be. Like, in theory, he should be, like, the prototypical MVP. Big market, one of the legendary teams, Boston Celtics. You know, big star, the face of the franchise. Like, that's how it would go. Like, LeBron in the Heat, like, big star, marquee franchise, MVP, okay. You know, Kobe, Lakers, face of the franchise, Shaq, Tim Duncan, like... No, the NBA doesn't have that guy, I guess is what I'm saying. The NBA doesn't have that guy right now that's, like, a perennial best player in the league. It'll never be Tatum. The media tried to make Luka that guy, and they overrated Luka so much when he first like started, and I think we're seeing blowback now. Like, I remember Luka's what, year 6, year 7 now. He's what, 26, 27. So he's been around, 5, whatever. Let's say this is year 6, whatever. After his rookie season, the media was like, yeah, Luka, MVP. Luka's going to be going to the playoffs. Luka's going to be doing this and that. And every year, up until this year, it seemed like, oh, this year is the year Luka's going to win the MVP. This is the year Luka takes that next step. This is the year he does that. and it never happened. You know, he always showed up out of shape. He played his
Mhm.
way into shape. He didn't care the first like 20, 30 games of the season.
Yep.
And now this year, he's gotten into shape. He showed up in shape. He was looking
Yep.
muscular. He was doing all
Yep.
that. Now the media's like, it's too late now. We don't care anymore. You're yesterday's news, you know? And in order to shake that narrative, Luca would need to have a big season. Like the Mavericks would not individual. I'm saying for the Mavericks. The Mavericks would have to be a second or third seed, probably worse the third seed, and be dominant throughout the whole season. Let's just say, for example,
Yeah.
you flip the Timberwolves success with the Mavericks success. If the Mavericks were doing that, Luca's the
They'd still
MVP.
give it to Jokic. I'm certain.
No, Luca would get it.
No.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But I think
Yeah.
Luca would get it regardless. If that was the case, I just think it became the media overrating the guy. It was just like, oh, okay, another white guy being overrated by the media, like what happened with
Yeah.
Jokic. And then Jokic had just this unbelievable season that was undeniable, his first MVP season. The
Yeah.
second one is a bit questionable. Should Embiid have
Mm.
won that? Maybe. Um, the third one, it was just undeniable again. It's just like this one, I guess, will be undeniable. I don't know. Like,
Yeah. It's one of these sort of things, right? And just on that as well. There is a big double standard in all this. Like Domantas Sabonis has literally the same averages, just a few less points than Jokic. Is a better shooter from three. Does literally the exact same thing. He wasn't even an All-Star, and it's like he doesn't exist. He never gets mentioned once. And Jokic is the clear favorite for MVP. I'm like, what's the difference? Like, what? I don't know. There's that. The Lucas situation, as you touch on, he scored 73 in a game this year. He literally is putting up 40-point triple doubles every game. I physically don't understand. People knock his defense as though Jokic, when he was a 6 seed, was a great defender. As though Westbrook was a good defender as the 7 seed when he won it. The thing I don't like is not so much a Jokic thing. It's the hypocrisy in, I mean, this is NBA media, but sports media generally. It doesn't make sense. There's no continuity. There's no consistency. When Giannis won the 2 MVPs and then the title, and then all of a sudden there was this voter fatigue where Giannis would need to average like a 50-point triple-double in a season to win another MVP. We saw this with LeBron James. LeBron's only got 4 MVPs. Jokic is about to have 3. LeBron should have 8 of the MVPs. Like the whole system's broken, and now we're going to have this. It's going to Jokic. Right, he's going to win the MVP every year for the next like 4 years because he's Jokic, pal. He waddles up the court and goes, and then Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray make shots and get no credit for any of it. And I don't know. I don't think it's a healthy position for the league to be in. Clearly, they're doing it for global participation, for inclusion, for kids who just don't fit in. They don't look great. They're out of shape. Giving them something like a player who isn't special, isn't magical, can't shoot from 50 feet. They're not LeBron James. They can't dunk on a team of people from the free throw line. He's just Jokic. And then that's what they're doing now. It's an agenda for participation. That's what it is. And no one says anything about it. The only reason Jokic isn't about to win his 4th MVP is because Kendrick Perkins called out an element of like the racial bias. That was BS. Last year with Kendrick Perkins, that was all crap. The reason, whatever.
well, thank
Anyway.
God he did. That swung everything. Once that happened, that swung the MVP race. Like Jokic would have 4 in a row, bro. If Perkins didn't do that.
Like I lived that time, and no one acknowledges that, as I discussed, Jokic at that time fully stopped trying. He'd show up to a game against Charlotte and go, I'm not going to shoot tonight. I'm going to take 4 shots. I need to farm my assists to get my assist average up. I'm going to get 15 assists tonight and not try. And that's what he'd do. And then they'd lose to the Hornets, but his assists looked better. And he'd stop trying and they'd lose. And Embiid would score 45 and they'd win. But I guess Kendrick Perkins is why Jokic isn't a 4-time MVP. The NBA is broken. The NBA is flawed. There's a lot of issues with that, the MVP race, especially with recognizing who the best player is. LeBron's only got 4 MVPs. He should have had 8. MJ should have had 8 MVPs. The fact of the matter is, LeBron, in my eyes, is a 6-time NBA champion. Those Durant Warriors teams, LeBron beats, no one is beating those teams ever, those Durant Warriors teams in those finals. So LeBron, in my eyes, is a 6-time champion, 8-time MVP. That's just what it is. So there you go.
Let me look at the Mavericks record as we close this
The
conversation.
Mavericks are 35 and 28. They're the 8th seed.
Yeah, they're 8. Yeah, they're an 8th seed.
Yep.
I mean, we got a lot of time between March and
Yep.
the end of the season, but I just don't think. I don't think enough can happen.
He's not going to. I can call it now. Luka's going to finish the season averaging 35.5 points, 10-10. He'll finish like third or fourth MVP voting. Like Shea will finish second, Luka, then probably Giannis. And it's like, oh, here's Jokic again. It's like Jokic's done nothing different than any other year. He's just Jokic. And he's just going to get given the award. But when Giannis does Giannis, pal, when Giannis does the same things every other year, if not better, whatever, Giannis. He plays in Milwaukee. They're racist there. You know, oh, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, pal. He's like the clear best player. He scores 35 a game on the 1-2 seed OKC team. OKC's beaten everybody this year. Jokic. Jokic exists.
Yeah, I think they should. I think SGA. Like, if I had to pick it, it'd be SGA. Like, they're the biggest story in a long time. You know, like they came out of nowhere. They're what? Like their average age is like 24, and like the only thing is nobody knows who SGA is. That's it. Like that's the only thing. Like, oh, we can't give him MVP because nobody's heard of him. Like at least Jokic goes viral on TikTok for not participating in interviews.
And that's why Jokic is cool. I get it. Especially nowadays, a lot of people like are lazier or like don't want to try and whatnot. And Jokic appeals to that. Jokic has that appeal of, oh, well, he doesn't try. And that's cool. Social media culture, I get it. There's that part of Jokic. And then there's the fact that he's so unremarkable with his play style, no athletic ability, that's inspiring from a participation and a global like engagement point of view. That's why Jokic is just given the MVP every year. It's those two things. And that is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Giannis and all these other players, Luka, Shea, Anthony Edwards, they've all had better years. But they're not going to win MVP because of politics, because of what Jokic represents. And it is what it is. And everyone who, like Brian especially, well, why do you hate Jokic? I don't hate him. I hate what he represents. I hate the politics behind him just being given this award every year. But when LeBron James was in his prime for all these years, he would never get an MVP. What, 2018, LeBron played every game and did all this? Harden.
Okay. I don't know, pal, but I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah. I have to cook. I have to cook. I'm all calm now. The Bulls will make the playoffs and win the finals, pal. Celtics are going to choke. What else? The Wizards suck. Yeah, easy.
Peace.